should be writing so much about global women's issues and something like half this class. So let me explain a little bit how that came about. The issue is indeed getting a lot more traction. It was struck, I don't know if you saw today's New York Times, where the front page had an article about an Afghan girl, a 6-year-old Afghan girl, who, because of a family debt, was scheduled to be married off to another family, probably end up as a second wife used in that family. And it was striking to me that piece was on the front page. There was today a real furor over it, and it's a little bit murky right now, but indeed it looks as if that marriage has been canceled, and it looks as if somebody has paid that debt. So these issues are getting indeed more traction. But let's see if I can advance this. Yep. So the notion of half the sky comes from a Chinese expression. Anybody here, somebody here must speak Chinese. How do you say half the sky in Chinese? Some reading student must be studying Chinese. I'm putting you on the spot. Ban Tian Tian, very good. Okay, professors, A+. And indeed, Cheryl and I, it's my wife Cheryl, Cheryl and I really got the idea for it when we were living in China. That's Cheryl and me, our son Gregory, in Tiananmen Square a few months ago. You're not very polite. One way of gauging that is that Gregory, our eldest son, is now a college sophomore, which I guess only goes to show how quickly kids grow up in a few months. But when Cheryl and I were living in China, we began to see both the degree to which often brutality and oppression end up being targeted by gender. And we also saw what happens when you focus schools to try to educate girls, to bring those educated women into the formal labor force. And one of the places that we really saw this, it was something of an epiphany for us, was this village in Hubei province in the middle of China. This is the Dabia Mountains, a very poor area. This is 1990. We were writing about how there were so many girls who were having to drop out of school because they were girls. Basically because their parents didn't want to invest in a daughter's education when they might have been sons. This was the brightest kid in school. Her name is Dai Manchu, and she had to drop out in the 6th grade and wanted $13 in annual school fees. $13. She, because she was such a brilliant kid, she would hang out at the school gate. The teachers would try to help her out by giving her odd little bits of assignments, and she could study on her own a little bit. That's the principal beside her. We wrote an article about this phenomenon of girls dropping out of school and used her as our poster child, ran her photo 3 columns across the front page of the New York Times. And you can maybe imagine what happened next. This is 1990, so this is before email, but we just got deluged with letters from readers, mostly containing checks for $13 to help them. New York Times readers are extraordinarily generous in these sort of very modest increments. But then we also got a wire transfer from one reader for $10,000 to help these girls. We took all this money down. We worked out a deal with the principal there back in 1990, whereby all this money would be used to educate Dai Manju and the other girls in the community so that girls would no longer have to drop out from one school fees. If they could maintain the grade, they could keep on studying. For the first time